Fleetwood Mac. That's the Nothing Personal Word of the Day for Wednesday, July 30th, 2025. Obviously, we're talking about one of the best albums of all time called Rumors. We don't have secondhand news here. We have got firsthand every possible angle, and some teams are going to go their own way. We're starting down in Miami, the center. Man, I used to love this heading into the trade deadline. Hold on. It'd be way better to be buying because you're in first place, you're 5 games up, and you're trying to figure out how best to plan for October. That's awesome. Or you're in the wild card position, pole position, and you're buying because you want to just get there and see if you can maybe get through October. Oh, wait, there's one more better thing. When you're like a game out of the last wild card and you're dreaming and you're willing to give away your young players who aren't in the big leagues yet because you want to win in the big leagues and you're this close, that's cool. Worst possible scenario, 5 games out, trying to climb over 4 teams, despondent beyond repair because you're holding on to the dream. You feel like you can't give up. You want to give up. You need to give up, but you can't. How could you look at your fans in the face and your owner in the eyes and say, sell? That's a bad one. You know what's good, though? If you're selling and you've got the pieces that everyone wants, because that's the Marlins situation. Despite the fact that they have overperformed this year, outperformed expectations, they're a few games under, but they've got everything that other teams want. Starting pitching. Sandy Alcantara pitched against the Cardinals last night. Good. 3 walks, too many. Not the K's he used to have. Only 5 innings pitched with about 90 to 95 pitches. Start before he gave you 7 innings. Is it possible that it's the up and down inconsistency of a post-Tommy John season? All of that is possible. And it happens that way. Starting pitching is what every buyer wants every year. Forget Suarez and I need a corner infielder, I need a bat, I need someone off the bench. Fine. I'm talking about starting pitching, bullpen pitching, relievers like the Pirates have who are overperforming. You become the center of the trade deadline, which is tomorrow, Thursday the 31st at 6 p.m. Eastern, 11 p.m. Zulu time. When you have what everyone wants, you're in your trade deadline room thinking to yourself, okay, the best way to get the most is instead of waiting for the incoming calls, when you've got Cabrera, who has 3 more years of arbitration, a controllable pitcher worth more than Sandy, believe it or not, because Sandy comes with a $17 million price tag over the next couple of years, which is still not bad, given that Ryan McMahon makes 16, for crying out loud. But the way you work your deadline room, when you are the North Star, when you're the belle of the ball, is you are open for business. You're taking in the calls, and you've got each team that's looking for starting pitching. Yankees, Cubs, prime examples. But the Mets are looking for starting pitching, for sure. The Blue Jays are looking for starting pitching. Why not? The Red Sox could use another pitcher. Hold on, let me go through each team in the wild card. Brewers, yeah. Let me explain. Starting pitching, bullpen, pitching. No matter how the game changes, one thing stays the same. Pitching wins. So, what you do is you have a board and then you've got papers. The papers go from, you write it out. Literally, this is what you do. Pen to paper. Each team, each player, each trade. Then, when it goes from pen to board, that is the final, after the discussions with the scouts, discussion with the player development people, discussion with the GM, the owner, the president. You all get together. You have a final for each team, for each player. Then you just wait. You just wait. It's so hard. I can't even tell you. The last day, it's about 7:06 a.m. live on the Nothing Personal with David Samson YouTube channel. The call time would be, because of a night game the night before, and you're generally at the ballpark, you call it at about midnight because that's 9 p.m. West Coast time, and generally that's enough. The call time back is 9 a.m., which is 6 a.m. West Coast time. So you get a few hours with just the East Coast and Central Time Zone GMs. So you have everyone get back in the trade deadline room around 9 o'clock day before. Tomorrow, day of, it's a 7 a.m. call time. And the reason why you want everyone together is you're on the phone to the commissioner's office, you're on the phone to the owner, you're on the phone to the trainers, you're on the phone to various people constantly, making sure everyone is ready for what is always last second movement. Because you got to get ownership approval, you got to get the exchange of medicals, and you've got to get commissioner's approval when you're making these trades. Because you want money coming back your way, or you're sending money. Either way, the commissioner has to approve that. The reason why you want the incoming calls to happen is you want to make sure that you have squozen the final bit of leverage you can over the buyers. So we would assign somebody to do some leaking to the media. Hey, we don't have to move anybody. We like our position. Yeah, we're 7 games back, but we really feel like that we are just beginning to hit our stride. We've been playing better for 2 months. You're putting it out there so that you can have rumors, through line, you can have rumors that are tweeted and are put in notes packages that, hey, the Marlins may not move anybody. They may not have a need. I would have it out there as president of the team. Yeah, spoke to the owner. We don't have to shed money. We're good. Now, that's what you want out publicly. Privately, when the teams are calling, you want, for Sandy, it's going to have to be a 3-for-1. Because for Cabrera, it's going to be a 4-for-1. I can't have the optics of trading a guy with 3 years of arbitration left without getting back a package. Now, the final player of these 3-for-1s and 4-for-1s, it can be someone who can fog up a mirror. But optically speaking, I need that bulk coming back. But the top end of the trade, that's going to have to be, it's going to hurt. And we'll give you the names, but what's your offer? I always like getting the offer first before giving the offer because I want to understand what I'm dealing with, and I never want to undersell myself because it's possible that something or someone that I really want but don't think that I have the right to ask given what the trade is. Sometimes when you keep your mouth closed, that's what's offered. And that's how you get a deal done relatively quickly, is when there's a misunderstanding of value between two parties to a transaction. It's actually a beautiful thing. How sad that is. I don't mean a beautiful thing like all of a sudden you hear violins and birds chirping. It just means when you're in a negotiation and you get exactly what you want and so does the other side, it's just a win. The Marlins have let it be known that they want an elite prospect, 2 for each pitcher at least, plus a big leaguer. Don't fall for any of that. When we get out there, yeah, we'd like an elite prospect. What does that mean? If you trade the number 2 prospect in a system, is that an elite prospect because of his ranking in rankings that are done by people not in the game, not in the front offices of the teams? Is that what elite is? Because we judge the trades that way in the media. Hey, he got the number 4, 8, 9, 16, and 24 prospects. Wow, what a haul. Doesn't actually happen that way when you're actually in the room doing these trades. You don't have the rankings of the other team's prospects as done by the publications. You've got the rankings of the other team's prospects as done by you and your people. Elite prospects is who we think is elite in your system. It makes no difference what the rankings are. We don't get to go ahead. It would be like me telling you, oh, the Cabrera trade when we got Maben and Miller, those were two of the top 10 of the top 100 prospects. I could say that, and I have, but what I really have said and I meant is we couldn't believe that we could access these two prospects. These two guys put the E in elite. So you're sitting in your deadline room and you're taking calls because you're in charge. Or there's another possibility. The other possibility is what's happening at 4:11 a.m. Pacific time. Buster Posey, if you're watching Nothing Personal this morning, good morning. How are you? It's a tough position for you to be in. You traded for Rafael Devers, and it's been an abject disaster, and you know it. You're living with him every day. You know that you guys can't score. You know that he can't hit. You know that your team has the worst record in baseball since you acquired Rafi Devers, and you acquired him over a month and a half ago on June 15th. You're aware that going into this deadline that your team is now 500, 5 games back at the wild card. You could be deluding yourself into thinking you're in the race as a first-time GM. I get it. You want to be in it. You want to be in the middle of everything. You were so happy when you traded for Devers, like, hey, we're doing this. We're smarter than everyone else. Been there. Get it. Here's the problem. Your season has fallen apart, and now is the time for you to acknowledge it. You've got Devers signed long-term. You went to bed with him. He is who you're bringing to the date year after year. It's like the prom date who you hope to be Benjamin Button and turns out not to be. But are you willing to go to your owners in San Francisco, knock on Larry Baer's door and say, Larry, I'm so sorry, but the right thing to do is to acknowledge the fact that we're not going to be in the playoffs, that we're not going to catch San Diego or the Dodgers, and that in a National League that is so deep, there is nothing here to do other than add our list to the name of sellers and extract quite a lot because of what we potentially can offer to other teams who are not going to get Sandy or Mr. Cabrera. It is incredibly difficult to sit and make that decision if you are Buster Posey and the San Francisco Giants. It is way more tempting to say, oh, this is just a stretch. We believe in our guys. We will get through it. We got to keep going. We got to keep going. But the smartest thing that Buster Posey can do would be to acknowledge the mistake and move on. God, that stinks. Just stinks. What doesn't stink is the amazingness that happened in Baltimore last night. Baltimore's all excited. They fired their manager. They sweep the Mets in a doubleheader, playing better, feeling good about the fact that they have wasted this season. Pre-arb players getting closer to arbitration, selling as they should. Playing the Toronto Blue Jays, looking over in the other dugout. I remember this, Coca. It's one of those feelings you don't forget when you're playing a team. I've been on the wrong end of teams celebrating, making the playoffs against me. And I remember thinking, because I had won a World Series, but I remember thinking, God, I want that. I know how it feels. When you're looking across at a deadline, when you're playing a team who's buying and you're selling, you're jealous. You're angry. And then it gets ratcheted up even more when you're in the middle of a doubleheader. Orioles, Blue Jays. The Blue Jays, first place, best record in baseball. Everything's great. Judge hurt. Red Sox coming on. Rays falling apart. Everyone now saying Blue Jays inside track to winning the division, yada, yada, yada. And then you've lost a bunch of games in a row. And you're just trying to get one more win, trying to get back in the win column. You lose game 1 to the Orioles, and then you call up Elias and say, hey, can we get Sir Anthony Dominguez, please? Any chance? Are we good with that? Yeah, we'll make the deal. Done. All right, get to him. Hurry up. We got 10 minutes before game 2. And then the cameras roll. because instead of calling the player, you actually get to go down and talk to your player and say, hey, Sir Anthony, we traded you. But don't worry. You don't have to get on a plane. You don't even have to get on a train or in a car. You simply have to get in a golf cart. Now, in this case, he walked, but we would have offered him a golf cart, and he went from one clubhouse to the other at Camden Yards because the Orioles traded him to the Blue Jays. When that happens, you know the order. You do the deal, you get a signed letter agreement, you get it approved by the commissioner, you exchange medical, then the deal is officially done. The only way a trade actually is finished, even the signed agreement doesn't finish it. Legally it does, but in baseball it doesn't. You have to go in the computer system and remove Sir Anthony Dominguez from your roster so then he can be added to the roster of the Blue Jays. And the Blue Jays can't add him until the Orioles take him off the roster. So there's this, it's not even a game. It's just sort of a simultaneous moment of pleasure for both teams or both individuals or both people who are doing whatever it is they're doing to get this pleasure, where you eliminate the name, you add the name, then you're on the phone to the clubby. Hey, we need a jersey. We need a jersey. He's going to pitch. And by doggett, Sir Anthony Dominguez pitched for the Blue Jays against the Orioles. In game 2, he struck out 2 of the guys he was in the shower with an hour earlier. It's almost awesome. I'm sure if you ask Jason Stark, not Lisa, but if you ask Jason, I'm pretty positive you'd come up with a list of 50 guys who were traded in between. I'm so excited, I just can't hide it. In between game 1 or game 2 of a doubleheader. Has to be. Can't be Dominguez is the first. Blue Jays have lost 4 in a row. Bullpen help is good. The thing about Sir Anthony that I love, I was always seduced by electric arms. It always reminded me of Yaz and a song called In My Room, and the room was light with electric. Because electric arms, you feel like you can command, even though Dominguez has no command. You feel like it'll change because he throws it so his arm is alive, is what we say. Look at it. And then you come in and he pitches for you after you acquire a bullpen arm, strikes out 2 in the first appearance, 10 minutes after the trade, and you are thinking to yourself, nailed it. All of us have such recency bias in the game, I can't even tell you. If he goes and gives up 3 runs in the first appearance, we say, I cannot believe he just did that. We're going to look like prize fools. But we'll come back tomorrow. He'll be fine tomorrow. We don't really talk much about the impact it has on the player. It's got to be weird. Do you celebrate? Because I saw Dominguez celebrate when he struck out the 2 Orioles. Do you think his teammates look at him and they're like, man, come on. We were just having a drink an hour ago as teammates. Yeah, you got me, but celebrate? Or do you just, as a player, hey, I'm a mercenary. I don't care. Wherever I pitch, I pitch. Friends? I don't have friends. It was pretty cool, though. Don't panic, Torontonians. You're going to be fine. You know how much I love Milwaukee, that I'm not going to let the show go by without telling you Milwaukee has the best record in baseball on July 30th, 2025. Love that they're beating the Cubs. They're playing the Cubs now, beating the Cubs. It's so much worse if you're the Cubs. If you see the Brewers win a game and you're not there and it's just on the scoreboard and you're scoreboard watching, whatever. They won, we lost, they gained a game. When you're playing the team you're chasing and you lose, it stinks. It just feels more than twice as bad. You know, I also enjoy the land of 10,000 lakes. Fascinated with Dave St. Peter's old team in Minnesota, former team president, who has given up the reins, been kicked upstairs by his own boot. Who could blame him after all the years he did it? Who could stand the pressure, tension, and aggravation of getting the Byron Buxton call every year? I couldn't take it. Buxton's hurt again. Rib cage inflammation, whatever it is. He's on the injured list. The Twins have an interesting situation going. They're going to have to sell. They really have no choice. They traded Chris Paddock. That's sort of a I'm talking about you've got players you got to move. There's no reason for Harrison Bader not to be added to a bench of a contending team. Did you see the game when last night, one of the pitchers, hugging? A lot of hugging. Makes me happy. Whenever you see players hugging on July 30th, the assumption is there's been a trade. Do you remember the year, Coca, the Met who cried? Was it Wilmer Flores? That name sound familiar? When he thought he was traded and he cried on the field because it came out while he was on the field. Hey, it happens. One of the things baseball tries to do is have as few games on deadline day. There's one game tomorrow before the deadline. That's it. It's the getaway day for Yankees and Rays. The two other games on the schedule tomorrow are post-deadline. You really would rather players not be on the field at deadline or even deadline day. But it happens. So everybody's looking for everything. And I used to love this, Coca, because we'd have multiple screens going on. We're watching different games. We have different people listening to the different feeds, see if there's any nuggets we can find. We're monitoring social media. We're speaking to our own connections in the media. All this is going on the day or 2 days before the deadline for sure. And we used to love it. Oh, look, they're hugging each other. And if it's our player, they're just saying hi, like it's just a normal hug. We're not trading him, or we don't have a trade in place for him, but the whole country is going to think that it's a trade. It's what happened with Duran. Funny. Not funny. Acuna got hurt again. Did you see that? Acuna is back on the injured list. At some point, the 2023 MVP, who was signed to that contract where all of you said it's the greatest contract in the history of the Atlanta Braves organization, Acuna got completely screwed. What an absolute underpay. Are you aware that he's missed more games than you've probably thought about? He's played in over 100 games only 4 times in 7 years. I'm not counting COVID. The COVID thing's weird. You got to pay attention to how people play with stats. Like I could have told you that he played over. Listen to this stat. Tell me if you like it. Ronald Acuna, has played over 100 games just 4 times in 8 seasons. How do you feel about that stat? You'd say, wow, half the time he's missing over 2 months? That is horrific. Asterisk. One of the seasons you couldn't play in 100 games because there were only 60 games. Do you see how you can play around with stats and totally mislead whoever wants to be misled, to spin it in the way that you want to spin it, to make the point you want to make? I'm not saying you have to verify everything, except you have to verify everything. Ronald Acuna has played over 100 games just 4 times in his last 8 seasons. Remember, his right ACL torn, left ACL torn. Now he's got the Achilles issue. He's despondent. He didn't want to come out of the game. He didn't want to go on the IL. He said he's tired of being injured. He's missed enough games. He wants to play. The thing is, he's now a poor man's Mike Trout, defined by injuries. Yes, it's true. The Braves won a World Series. Yes, it's true. Acuna was hurt, didn't play. Still got a ring, though. Got 1 more year left on his deal. That's it. 2 club options after that, which seemed so far away when he signed the deal and so crazy that they were so in the money for the team. We all thought, of course, the team's going to pick up those club options because they're still cheap, given that he's a $50 million player. Are you sure? And I'm a big Acuna fan, big. I want him on my team. But aren't we getting to the point, close to the point, where he's just an injured superstar? Forget Hall of Fame. He's still trying to be in the Hall of Pretty Good. We have another system in baseball. It's a good one. We sit down with players throughout the course of the season, and when there's player-on-player hate, there's certain parts of it we try to deal with. Certain parts of it we just let go and let the clubhouse deal with it. Let the players deal with it. No harm, no foul. You don't like him, he doesn't like you. Go play the game. Every day at 7:05, your teammates, go play the game. You don't have to talk to him at all. Do your job. When you need to get him over, get him over. Need to get him in, get him in. There's no spite here. Let that go mostly till it's out of hand. Coach on coach, manager on coach, coach on manager, manager on player, player on manager. Immediate deal with. We don't let that go at all. You have to stop that. You have to nip it in the bud. When there are things that a player does and says publicly about the coaching staff or the manager, I want you to think back to Rafael Devers and what he did in Boston when he impugned Craig Breslow and the entirety of the Red Sox front office. Game over. I'm on my way to the city by the bay. Done. Framber Valdez is an elite pitcher for the Houston Astros. Elite. He went public with quotes the other day. It was either yesterday or the day before that got me very concerned about his future in Houston. You see, he was on the mound when the Astros were employing a shift, and the right fielder was playing very far off the line, very much in the gap towards center field. And Valdez gave up a hit. And it ended up being an important hit that led to a run. And after that game, he said some things in public that he can't ever take back. He said, I saw the right fielder playing center field, and we have a center fielder for that. I feel like the right fielder should have been playing right field. I was uncomfortable with that. When asked whether he would speak to the coaches about defensive player positioning, he said, I don't have to ask the coaches about that. I feel like baseball is a game of common sense. With me as a lefty pitcher, they don't hit a lot of fly balls against me. Play on the line. Framber, let me help you. You're working and pitching for a team that puts the anal in analytics. You are working and pitching for a team that has proven over the course of its dynasty that defensive positioning, that lineup construction, that player acquisition is all at an elite level. Now you're going to impugn the positioning. I want Framber for you, and this is what I would tell him. I would like you to look at this list, and then I would show him something that I would have called our PR department for, and I would have called our baseball operations department for, and I'd pull it out like I was showing stolen credit cards after a night in Vegas. And I would say to him, do you know the number of runs that have been saved because of our defensive positioning for you? Are you aware that defensive positioning is everything? What would Framber say? Framber was emotional about the loss? I can dismiss that. Framber was upset that he gave up a hit, and it happened to be a hit that went where the fielder wasn't, which, by the way, pretty much defines what a hit is. I could be okay with that. What I'm not okay with is his decision that he felt ease in calling out his coaches publicly. That doesn't end well for a player, even one like Framber Valdez. Because as a front office, we do not want our coaches in the crosshairs like that. We don't want a situation where a leader in the clubhouse may be leading some sort of revolt or some sort of anger, but we also understand the emotion following the start. So when you're confronted with this, if you're the Astros, with what Framber Valdez did, you don't do anything the night that he speaks to the media, because when he's speaking in Spanish through an interpreter, we're going to find out exactly what was said. The interpreter works for us, not for the player. And then you let it go. You let everyone sleep on it. If you wake up next morning still angry, which I would be, you get to the ballpark and you speak to Framber and you explain to him that that behavior was unacceptable. And then you see his reaction. Then you decide what you're going to do vis-a-vis fining, vis-a-vis releasing, vis-a-vis trading, vis-a-vis everything from I love you to I hate you, everything from the biggest punishment allowable under the CBA to no mention at all. You've got the entire scale of available punishments and available reactions. I'm only telling you, you wait till the next day. This one wouldn't age well for me because I don't like it when players use excuses. And certainly if I'm the Astros, and as smart as I am, if I'm on the Astros about defensive positioning, I do not like pitchers impugning their defense. Second only, side note, Coca, to pitchers who exhibit outward visible frustration when there is a physical error on the field behind him. They put their hands on their knees, they roll their eyes, they do a little swear under their breath, but if you can read lips, you can read lips. All of the expressions that show up the teammate who just made the error, not intentionally, obviously. I don't like when people do that at all. Let's do the review, Coca, please. I don't care how busy I am. I'm watching a movie every day. I watch The Accountant Part 2. It is critically important that before you watch The Accountant Part 2, you watch The Accountant Part 1. I can't even deliver that with a straight face. It's not a sequel, folks. You don't need to remember The Accountant. You don't need, it was good and I was thoroughly entertained, but you don't need to remember The Accountant Part 1. The Accountant Part 2. Ben Affleck is back as some sort of neurologically divergent person. I guess that's how you call him these days. I was going to say on the spectrum, but I don't think you can say that anymore. And I may have it totally wrong, but I think those are the right words. I'll have to call somebody. I don't think I've ever said those words together before, but now I have. He's an action guy. He's good looking, strong. You're thinking Jennifer Garner. You're thinking Jennifer Lopez. You're thinking about Dunkin' Donuts. You're thinking about Matt Damon. Very hard for Ben Affleck to not be Ben Affleck in a role. Hard to get lost in a role. His ability to do sort of quirky things, you feel like, oh, that seems normal. And then you got his brother, who's the brother in The Bear. He's actually the bear in The Bear, John Barenthal. Good too, sort of wacky, crazy. You're thinking, wow, that's a weird family. They want to love each other, but really they want to kill each other. Well, that sounds normal, except they actually have guns. I got to tell you, Coca, I was thoroughly entertained. I was. I'm in. The Accountant Part 2. It's a plain movie. It's a brainless movie. It's sort of a background movie if you're doing laundry, folding laundry, or you're doing something else, some sort of work. But it's worth your time. The Accountant Part 2. Speaking of The Accountant Part 2, I was very happy to see that Ana de Armas has become a Scientologist. Congratulations to you, Ana. You are the next woman up for bid with Tom Cruise. Can't go wrong there. Tomorrow's Thursday. This is the Coca special. I don't know how random this was because it makes no sense to me. But our top 100 films at davidsamsonpodcast.com, where you can find cool merch, new logo stuff, including behind me right here on set, the new Nothing Personal. I'm pointing to it if you're listening to this. Thank you. Spread the word. Download, rate, and subscribe. But if you're watching, subscribe for YouTube. Or if you're on the DraftKings network, then send a letter to DraftKings saying, man, I like being entertained like this. But there's a Nothing Personal with David Samson Tumblr. The tumblers are out tonight. What's next, Coca? Oh, the review tomorrow. So, top 100 movies, Thursday, Field of Dreams. Book it. Dad, want to have a catch? Okay. That is just a perfect transition. Funerals are going to start today with the people who got killed and murdered by the Las Vegas area native who drove to New York with an assault rifle and decided that he wanted to explain to the NFL in person that CTE is a thing. Yesterday, I covered it. I encourage you to listen to it, but it felt emotional to me, and I wanted to spend a few minutes because as I got more information, I was able to get more angry. I was able to get more upset. I was able to get more resolute. When you hear that you just know people who know people, when you see the pictures of the barricaded rooms, when you really understand that what was going on was a cross-country drive for the purpose of death and mayhem. When you're riding the subway yesterday, schwitzing because it's 1,000 degrees, when you are in an office building which has a studio, and you have many friends in office buildings on Park Avenue and 6th Avenue, when you think about all the years that you spent, everybody does this. You say, well, wait a minute, that could have been me. That could have been my child. And somebody is not saying that might. Some people are saying that was my sister. That was my wife. Targeting the NFL over CTE. I was thinking yesterday, Coca, I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it, and here's why. I don't want it to matter. I don't want to play the result. I don't want people to have an opinion about what happened and have in any way the NFL or CTE be a part of the conversation. Hey, could have been Roger Goodell. Oi, he got the wrong floor. It happened to be that 33 was pressed when he was trying to go to the 5th through the 8th floor where the NFL is. I've got family who's in the NFL, working for the NFL, whatever it is you're going to hear from people you know because of this outrageous event that happened. It's all taking the oxygen away from the issue, which is the interstate transportation of an assault rifle. The New York legislature, politicians in New York, smartly have come out and said, hey, yeah, we've got tough gun laws. What's the difference? The gun laws are only as tough as the weakest one, which, of course, is what you say about a team. You're only as good as your weakest player. A fence, you're only as strong as your weakest link. An overused expression, but very, very pertinent today. What is the purpose of strict gun laws in state A if there are no strict gun laws in state B, and you can go from state B to state A by getting in a car without passing through security of any kind? Maybe New York should become its own country, require passports for entry. Maybe we should have a system where everyone's driving through some sort of detector on the way into town. It can't make for worse traffic on the GW Bridge or any of the tunnels. I couldn't get it out of my head last night that everyone in the sports world in which I'm in which I've made my living since 1999, 26 years, and I'm the lucky one. I can't get it out of my mind that everyone's talking about the NFL. And this is not NFL versus MLB and, oh, I'm so happy it's not MLB, or, oh, I'm so upset that it is NFL. Why is everyone always talking about the NFL? I don't care. That is not the point here. So when you find yourself hearing people talk about what this murderous, disgusting, sick monster who cannot be dead enough, what he did, and it's all around the concentric circles of the NFL, you are missing the point. This will be the time when change is made. What a horrifically stupid statement that was. We specialize in stupid statements, some that I make that are original, some that I analyze that are done by other people. We like that. We make a living off it. I was really hoping when Jimmy Haslam spoke to the media that I would have the ability to talk to you about idiocy. Because you see, I'm not a huge fan of Jimmy and Dee Haslam for bringing in Deshaun Watson and telling you that they discussed it with their daughter and everyone's good with bringing in this guy. We're going to pay him $230 guaranteed at signing. Then it's going to lead to grievances and collusion, non-collusion, maybe collusion. All of this is going to happen, and it's all because of the Haslams. He did something yesterday that I appreciated. And sometimes when I'm on the other side of something, people say to me at davidsamsonpodcast.com or at David P. Samson on Twitter in my DMs, my God, you seem like you were so one-sided on that issue. Is it personal? When the name of your show is nothing personal, you're opened up to all sorts of criticism. Again, hate watch me, love listen to me, doesn't matter. I'm in, we're together, good. But I understand the name of the show always will open me up to, hey, that sounded personal. Hey, are you sure you have nothing against this guy personally? Let me reiterate, I don't know Jimmy Haslam. I can only evaluate what he does, what he says. And when he's meeting the media yesterday, he said he's cautiously optimistic that his running back will eventually sign and play for his team. He's unsigned. Do you know why he's unsigned? Because the Browns seem to have an epidemic of domestic violence within their ranks. 3 Browns players have been arrested for domestic violence charges in the last year alone, including this new running back who they just drafted, who Jimmy Haslam is cautiously optimistic they'll sign. 21-year-old kid. They selected him 36th overall. He's out of The Ohio State. You've heard of him. Arrested on domestic violence charges in the last year. One of multiple players, and Jimmy Haslam took to the reporters to say, what's going on here? What are we doing wrong? We have all of these seminars. We bring in people from the outside. Side note, Jimmy, no one's paying attention to the entities that are brought in as consultants to do classes with people, whether it's on sexual harassment, whether it's on domestic violence, whether it's on learning how to use Excel or how to do a spreadsheet, whether it's how to deal with your insurance or whatever it is you have to do as part of the benefits of being in your company. All of those seminars, people are despondent. They're not paying attention. They don't care. And furthermore, when you hear someone say, hi, my name is John Cocktoaston. My view is that you should not engage in anything that would be known as domestic abuse. Do not hit your partner. Do not do anything that in any way could ever be seen as sexual assault or domestic abuse. Thank you for your time. By the way, I'm happy to give you examples if you want to come see me at the end of the class. Yes, if you are pulling your spouse by the hair outside the elevator, that's domestic violence. Yes, if you throw something at your spouse before dinner, yes, that's domestic violence. If you do something to someone that they don't want done to them, yes, that is assault and sexual assault. Jimmy Haslam saying, hey, I can't figure it out. We tried doing all these things. Really? You're going to say that all the things that you do, seminars, those are the things that make the difference? How about some character analysis? How about some no tolerance for it? And that was just a warm-up for Jimmy. Jimmy. He meets the media, and he said, we're going to figure out what we're going to do. We talk about it. We're going to try to make it better. All right, we'll wait to see on that. He also did something that I like to see our owner do from time to time. When you throw your president or GM so far under the bus that the wheels just crush the ribs and you're gasping for air, praying to God the wheel will keep moving and that you can reinflate like Deadpool. Jimmy Haslam called out his GM, Andrew Berry, so hard. Do you remember when the Browns drafted Shedeur Sanders? You remember, right? He fell all the way to the 5th round. It was a big deal. Well, they were talking about, hey, you've got a hamstring issue with Pickett. Where is he in the depth chart? Is he going to take any snaps with the first team? Like, what do we got here? What do we got with Sanders? And the owner said at the end of the day, this is his quote, that's Andrew Berry's call. Andrew made the call to pick Shedeur. That's so awesome. It's so wrong also. A, it's wrong to throw your GM under the bus. B, it's wrong to throw him under the bus on something that they know, you know, everyone in the organization knows, everyone in the media knows. You are full of it. It's total horse hockey. Oh, I had no idea. You know, everything, every draft that happens, psh, I'm looking at the picks like you are. The Cleveland Browns pick is in. With eager anticipation, I'm the owner of the team, waiting for Roger Goodell to tell me, or a deputy commissioner if it's round 2, hey, who did we draft? It's so ridiculous. Does anyone buy that? I don't know. Nothing personal, pick of the day. Corbin Day, baby. Never a doubt. What are you worried about? We had Kikuchi and the Angels over Corbin and the Rangers. Piece of cake, 8-5. Now, Corbin again went 5+. Not terrible at all. But NGE, baby, not good enough. We are up to 102-94. What I would assume to be Coca would be a season high, 8 games over 500. Slowly climbing back into the black from the red, trying to get profitable again in terms of our units. Very proud of ourselves. Hard to crawl back out of a hole. What's the key when you crawl back out of the hole? To stay out of the hole. The New York Mets are playing. I know you don't like when I do this, Coca. I know you hate it so much. But do you remember when I went with Darvish last week and Darvish gave up 17 runs in a third of an inning? Or maybe it was 27 runs in 2/3 of an inning? Maybe it was the fact that he couldn't get anybody out and the Padres got crushed. Well, Darvish is going again. And the Mets' #1 starter's going. Yes, it's Max Scherzer against Yu Darvish. No, got that wrong. Coca. #1 starter for the Mets is going Justin Verlander. No, I'm looking at the pay. I gotta look at the current pitchers. Dwight Gooden was in Cooperstown. He walked by and no one stopped him. And he's not a small guy. I don't know how that happened. Unless it wasn't Dwight Gooden. But I think it was. Dwight Gooden's going tonight for the Mets against the Padres. That's exciting. He's only -121. It's Clay Holmes. Clay Jonathan Holmes is going, and we're taking the Mets. Sorry, Coca. The Mets trying to figure out what to do with Juan Soto. Do you know how much it hurts, Coca, to foul a ball off your foot? Have you ever done it? I'm sure there are people out there who have done it. It hurts. Soto left the game after fouling a ball off his foot. X-rays are negative. Do you know when they come in the next day after fouling a ball off their foot, what their foot looks like? It's gross. It's gnarly. Depending on top of the foot, you can sometimes get a ball mark. Is it side of the foot? Is the toe involved? It's just a piece of grossness. Soto may get the day off, which may be why the Mets are only -121, according to our friends at DraftKings. But we're in. We're taking it. You know what else we're doing? We're doing another hour, and it's Wednesday. So you want to talk to Samson Wednesday coming up after the break. Welcome back to Nothing Personal. It is Wednesday, July 30th, 2025. Thanks for joining us. Hour two. You know what it is for Wednesdays. It is So You Want to Talk to Samson.
You know what I want? I want to talk to Samson.
So You Want to Talk to Samson. All you have to do is call 631-377-4869. So You Want to Talk to Samson is based on a character named Samson from the movie Half-Baked. I love when you guys or gals or people call and leave a 4-minute message all based on the fact that you're watching Half-Baked and you're 68, 69th baked. I'm in. I get it. If you want to be on the show, however, leave a message at 631-DPS-4869 with a question. Try, if you can, to make it under a minute. The 4 minutes that has like a watch-along party, not going to happen on the show. Every Wednesday, hour two, since we're now 2 hours, thanks to DraftKings, our sponsor, Meadowlark Media, 2 hours a day, every day. We're at the end of the second month doing this, Coca. Holy cow. Are you tired? Are you used to the fact that our days are longer and start earlier? We're practically doing Good Morning America, me, you, and Jack. Just the three of us. We can make it if we try. Oh, don't copyright us. The song is just the two of us. So anyway, every Wednesday, hour two, it's going to be questions. Now, you can also DM me at David P. Samson on X. You can find me at davidsamsonpodcast.com. Send an email. Whatever we think is going to be good for the show, we'll be on the show. Let's start. So many. One's not a voicemail. This one came in by email, and I love it. What do you think of Tom Brady's comments, Ray Scotty Scheffler? Did they ring true? Uh-oh. I must admit, sometimes your emails or voicemails send me into the rabbit hole of, I don't know what you're talking about. Is it interesting enough? Am I looking for content? Always. Am I trying to look for good questions? Of course. Am I trying to look for interesting things that interest me that I think will interest you? You bet your sweet Bippy. I did some checking. Now, if you could have given me a little frame reference, you could have included the quotes. There's a whole lot you could have done. You could have said, hello, David. How you doing? Are you feeling good? That was so nice of you to be with your son in Cooperstown. All sorts of things you could have done. Simply, what do you think of Tom Brady's comments, Ray Scotty Scheffler? Did they ring true? What do you mean by that? Did they ring true? Well, it turns out that Tom Brady had a few things to say about Scotty Scheffler. And if I'd said those things about Daniel Hudson, forget it. I'm being ratioed. Taking paternity leave instead of pitching for your team in the playoffs. Outrageous. It's perfect. Choose family every time. Family is the core. At the end of the day, no one looks up. This is my favorite. When you're dying, no one says, oh man, I wish I could have worked more. Everyone says, I wish I could have spent more time with my family or more time doing the things that I love to do. Oh, I forgot. I love to work. I wish I'd spend more time fishing. I wish I'd spent more time not trying to accumulate wealth and trying to buy things that I like to have or trips I like to go on, because now I'm on my deathbed looking up saying, man, was it worth it? Surprise, did that while it was happening every day. Scotty Scheffler meets the media and gives us an entire thing, which I had great sympathy for. I had great interest in hearing about how he's not satisfied and how winning, it's fleeting. But if anything gets in the way of my wife and son, then I am going to quit golf immediately. And then he goes and wins the British Open. Tom Brady said that Scotty said he'd rather be a better father and husband than a good golfer. My question is, this is Tom Brady talking, why are those mutually exclusive? Sure, they're different blocks on the pyramid, but they're part of the same pyramid. They're connected. He kept going. This is Tom Brady. Tom Brady. Do you remember I told you in an earlier episode, I think talking about the Haslams in Cleveland, that there are times that I will be critical of what people are thinking or doing or saying, Or there are times I just want to explain what people are thinking or doing or saying, and then let you decide. Do you agree? Do you disagree? My favorite thing is when you come up to me on the street or at a party or wherever, at a restaurant, I don't mind it, and you say, hey, I listen to the show. I don't agree with everything you say. Good. It happens so many times in Cooperstown, Coca. So many baseball people, I do not agree with what you say, but I listen every day. I don't need you to agree with me. I've done the same thing with Tom Brady. We've got wait to see that he's going to be done with Fox. He's going to be a full-time Raiders guy. He is the full-time Raiders guy. He can't work as hard as he needs to work to be good at being an analyst. I've said all those things. Now I'm talking about Tom Brady in a different way. Tom Brady said, for instance, I think part of being a great father is being a great example of doing what it takes to take care of your family. I chose to do it by playing football. My dedication to the sport, the hours of practice, the moments when I was laser focused, those were times when I believe I was doing the best possible thing for my family and my kids by prioritizing my profession and teaching by example what it takes to be really good at your job, what it takes to follow through on commitments, what it takes to be a great teammate, and showing them by example that work is a big part of all of our lives. Amen, brother. Can I get an amen? Now, of course, I've got 3 kids who would say, of course, that's what David's saying. Of course, that's what he's saying. Always choosing work over family. Acknowledging the fact that I was the provider. Acknowledging the fact that what Tom Brady is saying rings so true to how I felt and how I do feel. I have always chosen work over family, and I've acknowledged that. My pyramid, of course, has family. Of course, I do things for my family, extended family. Of course, I am there no matter what in an emergency. All I say is, call me twice. You call me once, I likely can't pick up because I'm doing something. Call me twice in a row, that means SOS. We've got a system. You need to depend on me to get something done. I'll get it done. Guaranteed. Will I teach you how to farm? Probably not. I'm going to farm for you and then let you figure out what it is you like to do because I don't have time to teach you. You teach someone how to fish. They eat for a lifetime. You give someone a fish. They eat a meal. I get it. I've heard it all before. I don't have time to teach everybody how to fish. I'm trying to solve problems for people and move along with my day to get as much done as possible. Does this make me robotic or harsh or a bad dad or a bad team president or a bad host of Nothing Personal? I don't care how any of you judge it. I really don't. Do I wish that my kids viewed me a certain way? Maybe. Do I get frustrated when I think that they would do everything differently? Never. Isn't it weird when parents want their kids to be just like them because it somehow shows that what they did or the way they think or the way they are is the right way? Isn't it funny when athletes want their kids to be athletes and are upset when they're not, or actors or business people or CEOs, whatever the case may be? Of course, families go into business together. I went into family business and baseball. It doesn't mean that I was doing exactly what my stepfather at the time or then my boss was doing. 2 totally different views of the world, 2 totally different views and ways, art, not art, whatever. None of that is the point. Having children say to themselves, man, dad's not around. Well, yeah. Do you know what he's doing? Sometimes he's blowing off steam. Sometimes he's away on a guy's trip, but he's always working. Why is that not the example that can be set, and why is it that people frown upon that? Tom Brady is saying these things. Is he going to get crushed the way I got crushed for saying paternity leave? Who would take paternity leave in the middle of a playoff run? Crushed. Just because I have different values than you do? I'm just telling you that when you work or when you don't, whatever it is that you choose to do, if you want to be the best, and Tom Brady was the best, I was not the best team president of all time. 1 ring out of 18 seasons, that is not the best ratio. Not the worst, not the best. Do you think that it's possible in your line of work, whatever it is that you do, that you can be the best parent and the best sibling and the best son and daughter and the best partner and the best at what you do for a living? Do you think those things are possible? That you can be the GOAT of all of which you command? Are we judging Tom Brady because he's divorced, because he is divorced twice, divorced 3 times? Whatever the number is, are we judging because he had a kid with one and then a couple kids and he's not around, but he is around? Who knows? But he's the best football player. How is it that we're judging? Do you remember the nothing personal credo? Live and let live. Why can't Tom Brady choose what Tom Brady wants to choose, just like Scotty Scheffler? I don't criticize Scotty if he wants to quit golf and go be a family man. Go. Go raise your children. Be a stay-at-home dad. Be a stay-at-home mom. I'm not judging any of that. But you can't judge me for not being a stay-at-home dad, and you can't judge Tom Brady for saying, my example was by showing I could provide for my family, and then I'm going to work my tail off and let the kids know that. By the way, my 3 kids work their tails off in the jobs they have. Does it mean that I was right? That I was a good dad or a bad dad? I'm not sure there's a correlation of any kind. Wow, that child has some similar mannerisms as you, or similar attributes or thought processes. It doesn't make you a good dad or a bad parent or a good parent. What is it that we try to do every day? I'll tell you. We try to do the best we can according to the way we want to do the best we can. And the only rules, while there are many codified under the laws of the land, including you don't have the right to have an assault rifle and use it to kill people, but you do have the right to work 20-hour days, to work 7 days a week, and to be an absent parent, a totally there parent, or not a parent at all. You've got every right. You can't abandon your children. Can't leave them in a hot car. There's laws codified against that. But you can certainly have a relationship where the majority of one person's job is to raise the kids, the majority of the other person's job is to raise the money. You put it together and you have your definition of a family. It may not be everyone's definition of a family. I'm tired of the criticism, Coca. I'm tired of it from all angles, from all people. You're going to give criticism to Brady for what he said? You shouldn't. How about giving him an A for honesty, for respecting it? Play me a voicemail, Mr. Coca.
Hey, David. Hope you are well. Glad to hear you had a great time in Cooperstown. Listening to your show, one of the things that has surprised me the most is how little control a field baseball manager has pregame and during the game in terms of setting up the lineup and so forth. And I'm wondering if that may vary based on the experience and accomplishments of the particular manager. For example, here in North Texas, Bruce Bochy's reputation speaks for itself, and it seems to me he does a masterful job of managing a game and a pitching staff. I'm sure he collaborates and uses data, but does he have far more control, for instance, in all of those issues than a rookie manager? Anyways, if you would elaborate on this point and provide some nuance, I would really appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
Thank you for that voicemail. Yes, we've covered that a lot on this show, that there is some misunderstanding about the role of managers and how it has evolved. And even managers like Bruce Bochy, they recognize the changes that have taken place in the game, where in the beginning, when Bruce Bochy back with the Giants, when they're winning titles in 10, 12, and 14, versus him winning with the Rangers in 23, was it, Coca? Or 22 or 23 when the Diamondbacks lost to the Rangers. He noticed the difference in the involvement of the front office in terms of how analytics was having a far bigger say in who was in the lineup, where they were in the lineup, monitoring a player's sleep to say, hey, this player needs a day off. All of these things did not exist when Boch first started. And the best managers are able to use all the tools at their disposal, and the best general managers know when to allow managers to also use a tool called their eyes and their head. It doesn't happen as often as you'd think, where managers have any sort of flexibility to do anything. Everything has been scripted and written out, and the decisions have really been taken out of the manager's hands. But Boch is a vet. Boch has been around the block. He's got the rings to prove it. His president of baseball operations is a former player, Chris Young. His boss, former player, Chris Young, is relatively inexperienced, but now has been around a number of years, but just compared to Bochy is far less. So the dynamic when you've got a veteran manager and a younger front office, which happened to us in 2003, we had a veteran manager, Jack McKeon, and a younger general manager, Larry Beinfest. And I was a president on the younger side. We'd only been in the game for 4 years. The discussions we had, analytics were not nearly as a part of the decision-making tree as they are now, but we were very much involved in the lineup. We were very much involved in who was playing every day. We were very much involved in the rotation, but the famous story of Jack McKeon telling us that he was starting Josh Beckett in Game 6 of the World Series, even though we did not want to start Beckett on short rest, Jack McKeon insisted on it. When you have a manager like Jack, who has the magic touch and who's got the reputation, you're going to give him that decision. You're not going to fight at Game 6 of the World Series. They've earned that. The thing is, when you've got veteran employees, whether it's a manager or anyone else, there's sometimes when you have to get those employees to understand that there's a new sheriff in town, there's a new way of doing business, and if they don't figure out how to work the new way, then they're going to be dinosaurs. They're going to be done and out of their position. Being a manager in baseball is not far different than that. If you are not going to embrace the reality of the tools that are in your quiver, if you're not going to understand that you have the ability to use all of these arrows at different points of the job, you're just not going to have your job for long. There are managers right now who would tell you, old-time managers, they wouldn't go back and manage. Whether it's Bobby Valentine, whether it's Tony La Russa, and I don't mean because of age, whether it's Jack McKeon, and I don't mean that because of age, they wouldn't manage now, even if asked, although Jack would, just to get the record, which I'd love him to get. It's that they're proud of the way they've done it. They don't believe that they necessarily need to do it differently because they've had success doing it their way. And it's really hard to convince people who've done something a certain way and done it well that, hey, we've got a better way. It's a more efficient way. It's a way to guarantee some of the things that we didn't used to have control over that we now have a better chance to control. But when the person looks back at you and says, no, I like doing it with my own hands. I don't want it automated. Or I don't understand why you're using these stats. I don't think about those stats. All of that push and pull and those arguments take place. And when your manager is young, you win the arguments. When your manager is older and more experienced, you win fewer of the arguments. It's actually an interesting thing that you bring up Bruce Bochy, because Texas is an example of a team that is playing well now. If they can just do something, they are hitting the ball. Woo! If they can do something to help their pitching behind DeGrom and Evaldi, do a little bullpen bolstering, this is a team that's going to be dangerous. There's a reason I predicted Texas to make the playoffs instead of the Yankees, because Texas, if they help themselves by the trade deadline, which is July 31st at 6 p.m., there is a likelihood that they will get to play in October. And if you've got Bruce Bochy on your side and you're going into October and he's got the credibility, you are going to listen to him if he has a fundamental disagreement with something that should not be disagreed with. That's the theory of analytics. No emotion, no disagreement, no interpretation. The numbers are the numbers are the numbers are the numbers are the data. The thing is, I've never believed in it that way, ever. I've always believed in the collaboration of data and smarts, data and eyes, data and brain. The only brain in your organization can't be the computer brain. It can't be that. I had a conversation with Jack McKeon recently. I don't know. It's story. So you want to talk to Samson's story, Coca? In the studio where we record, one of the places, there's a restroom that's a private restroom, and there's a picture of me and Jack McKeon right in front of me. So I spend a lot of time looking at Jack McKeon and thinking about Jack McKeon and about the run that we had and about his life and just about how life works. Jack McKeon was the furthest thing from my brain in 2003. Knew he was a manager. Obviously, I'd heard of him. I'd been in the game a number of years, but wasn't in my brain until Bill Beck from Hull, Quebec calls and says, hey, you want to replace Torborg? Then I got the guy. Go meet Jack McKeon. And our owner loved him. We hired him. And Jack and I have been as thick as thieves since 2003. It's 22 years. This weekend, Jack McKeon is going into the Marlins Hall of Fame. Please, if you live in Miami, if you're the 8.2% last month of people who are in range, 80 miles of Marlins Park, go to the game against the Yankees. The Marlins are playing the Yankees this Sunday. Jack McKeon, and this Sunday is August, I don't know. Coca, I can't even believe it. I literally can't. What is the date this Sunday? August 3rd. Thank you, Coca. On Sunday, August 3rd at 1:40 p.m., the Yankees will take on the Marlins, and there will be a celebration. Jack McKeon will go into the Marlins Hall of Fame, joining Luis Castillo, Jim Leland, and Jeff Conine in the Marlins Hall of Fame inaugural class. And I've made my decision, Coca. I'm going to the game. It's my first game back. I have not been to a baseball game since 2017. Not one. I was inspired by my fantastic meeting with Jeter over the weekend in Cooperstown. I said, I got to go see what he did to our ballpark. I got to see it up close and personal. No, that's not why I'm going. I'm going because I haven't been to a game. I'm going because I'm excited to see Giancarlo Stanton and the Yankees and the Marlins. No, I'm excited to see the people I used to work with because there's like 2 of them left. I'm excited to honor Jack McKeon. I am showing Jack McKeon and my children and the people who know me that, of course, I want to honor people who deserve to be honored, and I am not going to stand on ceremony or principle and not go to Marlins Park because of how it ended or because of the way it's been since then. Forget it. I'm going to go because I want to honor Jack McKeon, and I'm going to wear the World Series ring proudly that he helped us win. We'll see you at Marlins Park. I hope it's a big crowd. I'll be there. You'll recognize me. And then I'm going to go do Dan's show on Monday. That'll be funny. Thank you for that question. Thank you, Jack McKeon. All right, next voicemail.
Hey, David. This is Kevin from Boston. Love the show and especially love the dynamic between you and Coca on Fridays. It's hilarious. As for my question, I'm a Red Sox fan, and I can't help but notice how the Red Sox and Yankees have run their teams so differently in the 21st century. Red Sox ownership seems to be fine with ignoring fan demands, stinking for a few years, and rebuilding, and that has resulted in championships. Meanwhile, Yankees ownership seems to cave to fans. They always buy, they never go into a full rebuild, and as a result, they're stuck as just a playoff team instead of an actual championship team. So, do you think Yankees ownership listens to fans too much? Thank you.
Thank you for that question. You didn't introduce yourself, I don't think, but thank you. Did that sound like it was reading the question? Am I the only one who thinks that, Coca? That was not like off the cuff, that was some sort of rehearsed reading? The delivery was a little too fast, but I appreciate that for speed purposes. Let me talk about listening to fans. You think that owners don't pay attention to what fans are saying? They don't care, but they're paying attention. But the funny part is that the reason why you think that Yankees ownership listens to fans, it's because owners are fans. And it's just biased to think that, oh, the fans have a problem. Remember the Tom Ricketts story of the Chicago Cubs rebuild under Theo when they kept losing 100 games, but Theo said, hang in there, man. We're going to win a World Series. We're going to break the curse. I did it with the Red Sox. I'm going to do it with you. And Tom Ricketts said, man, I can't. Okay, I'm going to. Theo, I've got this. I can't. Give me Edwin Jackson. No. What are you doing? Don't sign him. The fans are going crazy. We got to do something. We got to show them that we give at least one crap. Tommy boy, we do. I promise it's all going to work out. Don't waste your money on Edwin. Love you, Edwin. You were a Marlin, but I'm just throwing it out there. Owners are fans. And it's hard to be a fan and an owner. And the funny part is when an owner's not a big fan, which is what you need to be successful, and when they act that way, then they get criticized. There has been more criticism of John Henry in the Boston Red Sox front office. It's incredible. I am not going to go down the road of defending John Henry again, which is the single last thing I ever want to do. But to defend his record, it's stupid. How can you not defend it? It's indefensible. That's not the word. Hi, I'm David Samson. 4869. I'm good. Everything's fine here. How can you dispute John Henry's record as owner? Just look at the jewelry. The Steinbrenner family, 98, 99, 2000, 2009 World Series champions. You all want it to be done. You all want it to be a win every single year. It doesn't work that way. You think the Red Sox are purposely not listening to their fans and that the Yankees are because the Yankee ownership wants to do that because they want to win fewer World Series or more World Series? It doesn't actually work that way. So, how does it happen when you're trying to run a building? How does it happen when you're trying to run a stadium, when you're trying to run a team, when you're trying to run a deadline, when you're trying to win rings? You've got all the noise of the media, the fans, social media. You think that you try to insulate yourself, but then you get criticized for being so out of touch. You get criticized, oh, you're not a common person. You're a billionaire. I can't even appreciate that. I've tried to explain to you all what it is that teams are trying to do. I have tried over and over, so here I go. I'm going to try one more time. The New York Yankees and the system they have with Hal Steinbrenner and then Randy Levine and Lon Trost and Brian Cashman, that foursome has been together for decades. That foursome has produced 4 World Series rings, 5 World Series rings, really. That system has produced a team that is competitive year in and year out. I believe the last time they finished below 500 was before 1998. A team that makes the playoffs way more often than it misses and is the last team standing way more often than it's not. And by the way, they were in the World Series last year. The New York Yankees won the pennant last year. Am I one of the people calling for Aaron Boone and Brian Cashman to be fired? It's not that I'm calling for them to be fired, because why would I call for anyone to be fired? I'm saying that if the Yankees don't win, don't make the playoffs, which I don't think they will, I would assume that a change is going to be made at some point in time when ownership says, all right, it's enough. But if ownership listens to fans, I want you, and I thank you for the call, but I want you to remember the Jim Beattie quote. First GM I ever had in baseball. If you listen to the fans, you will soon be amongst them. Just try to always say that to yourself, that the best front offices are not listening to the fans because they don't want to be a fan, because they're not a fan. I'm not a fan. I used to be a fan, but now I know how the sausage is made, so I don't like eating the sausage. And I understand that you're comparing it to the Red Sox. I really do. That makes total sense to me because those are the teams. That's who's compared. Same division. They play each other all the time on Sunday night nationally. Red Sox, Yankees, the best rivalry in sports. Don't be ridiculous, but it's a rivalry. Red Sox look to have a situation where they're worse off, but then they're better off, but then they're worse off. The Yankees are more consistent, but they don't win. Fewer rings, more rings over time. You're just taking a snapshot, my friend. You're just taking a snapshot of the moment. Don't be prisoner of the moment. Next voicemail, Coca.
Good morning, David and Coca. This is Brad from Sioux Falls. I'm the approximately 0.69% of your listenership from the state of South Dakota. Would MLB ever consider developing something like NFL RedZone? Something like a studio show with a host showing live, higher leverage situations? Or they could even have like a game of the day between popular or contending teams and break into that broadcast with highlights or live look-ins from other games. Also, I love the Coca Hour on Fridays, but do you guys need to be so combative at the start of your conversations? It's pretty distracting from the intelligent discussions and analysis that I know you guys can create. Thanks.
Coca. Why would people think that we are combative? Are we? Coca, can you answer? Do you view us as combative? Coca, are you there? That's combative. You want me to be combative? I can't hear a word he's saying. He may be in the bathroom, or maybe he's doing something for the first hour of the show. Maybe he's but you chose this voicemail with me. Did you not listen to the end of it? Is it the same guy as the second voicemail? Sounded pretty similar, didn't it? I don't think it's the same guy, though. What was the question again? Why doesn't MLB have a Red Zone style show? Let me think about that. Do they not? Have you ever been on MLB.TV? Have you ever gone to the channel? Have you ever seen that you can do a whip around? The whip around? Did someone stop the whip around? Too expensive? Is Red Zone going to be sold to ESPN? Did they buy it? Let me tell you how the conversations have gone. We'd be sitting in meetings talking about our media. Of course, what we'd be talking about is how do we do the NFL? How do we get to that point? One of the things the NFL has is this, and I was there when it first started, this Red Zone channel where you're watching, and it's like every possible scoring play, but then it's every play inside the red zone, which is inside the 20-yard line. But then it just goes around to every time a touchdown scored, and it's really appealing to all the fantasy players, and it's appealing to all the people who don't want to watch a game of inaction where they keep reading about with commercials, a 3-hour game, and with stoppages in play, you're actually only getting 15 minutes of action. Well, let's show everybody the 15 minutes of action for every game. That's amazing. All right, what do we do in baseball? How do we do that? All right, man on third, 1 out. That's exciting. Second and third, no outs. That's a rally. Wait a minute, leadoff single. That could be something. Hold on a second. When no one's on and 2 outs, there could be a 2-strike home run. So we can't do a live look-in unless we just choose, let's do it with 2 strikes, 2 outs in the 9th inning and just do a live look-in of the last out. Well, that doesn't make much sense. The whole red zone is based on the scoring, the fantasy. Well, I guess we could just do the whip around where we do it not live and we just show the tape. Yeah, this guy just hit a home run. That guy hit a home run. Look what's going on in this game. Second and third, 1 out, and it is a bloop single, and that's 2 runs scored. That's 2 RBIs for Mr. Jimmy Jones. Well, we can do it that way, but that's not adding the value. The value is the live aspect. That's the cool part. All right, then we just have to come up with some system. Here's an idea. Let's just say that our red zone is scoring position. And then we look at a player and say, man, oh man, scoring positions from the batter's box. We got to show every Ohtani at bat. And it wasn't Ohtani at the time, but pick your player. We got to show every Mike Trout at bat. How can we not? And then we got to cut a deal with the broadcaster. Here's what we have to do. We have to do a carve out with ESPN that anytime there is a major, like a no-hitter or after 7 innings or a perfect game after 7, or a milestone where someone's going to pass someone on the home run list or break a record, 6 home runs in a row in a game, 4 in a game, the 5th at bat, 3 in a game, the 4th at bat. You write it all down, you negotiate, and you say, we want to be able to show that live. You see, you're pre-negotiating all of these different things. You're trying to get eyeballs, and you want to get eyeballs to your platform. Until the NFL and MLB realized, wait a minute, getting eyeballs to the platform, getting people to double authenticate. Remember all those days? How are you watching this? With the single provider, with the TV provider? Would you like to log in with your own provider, or would you like to log in directly with this provider? Now that you've logged in with this provider, we'd like your email. Check the box so then we can have your email and sell your stuff, because that's how we're going to add value. And then time passed and people realized, hold on, no one customer has the desire to do all this triple authenticating, double authenticating. Screw it. Let's just go straight at them and not tell them where it is, and they'll find it. We're going to put games on every single streaming network, and you just have to keep pressing buttons and hope for the best. That's going to work just fine. I don't think an MLB RedZone channel is actually worth it. All the things that we do as MLB Network is extremely valuable, but not nearly as valuable as the back-end tech that was sold, which was just an unbelievable business for baseball. The media assets, when you started MLB Network, it was to have an option for playoff games and for regular season games, that when we're out at market selling the live rights to these games, we can say, if you don't give us as much money, we've got our own network. We'll put on our own network and we'll bid on local rights for teams, much like what MLB did. When these regional sports networks go under, MLB steps up and says, we'll produce the games. We'll do it. We're not going to make as much money, but we'll do it. It is such a difficult, complicated TV landscape right now that the concept of the highlight channel, the whip around channel, the concept of what are you trying to program? Are you programming live shows, studio shows? We've been learning just in the past 2 weeks about late night Stephen Colbert. We've been learning about how everything is changing, where podcasts are now TV shows. We, on the Nothing Person with David Samson YouTube channel, we're a TV show. Shout out to Alex, who spends 20 hours in this apartment figuring out lights, figuring out backdrop, figuring out camera angle, figuring out, David, you seem to slouch in the last 15 minutes of each show, because now you're on the air for 2 hours, and I know your back hurts. You need a better cushion. We got to adjust your camera when you got the cushion. Ready, we're live. 3 Coke, are you there? We're a TV show. If you're listening to this, then we, 3, 4, 8, 6, 9, we're a podcast. We got to do another voicemail, because I guess what I would say to you, Coca, is that the reason I answered the question why it doesn't have a Red Zone style show is it's something they want to do. We're always looking for programming. They're always looking for programming to extract value, to get you to pay attention to what's happening in the baseball world, because that's how we make more money. So obviously, we're always looking for different programming, different possibilities. There's people pitching ideas. Noah Garden's in charge, deputy commissioner and head of business, head of everything other than labor, has created revenue out of thin air, negotiating TV deals, not with ESPN, having ESPN as part of it, not as part of it. We're always looking for different ways, just like every business. How do we manage in a changing landscape to maximize revenue and profit? That's the only question. All right, next.
Hello, David. Donald from Daytona Beach. Question about the form that MLB proposals take. Are they voice calls, video calls, emails, or texts, or a combination of all the above? And secondly, how do GMs authenticate that each of these trade proposals is real? I'll hang up and listen.
Thank you for that. Daytona Beach, shout out. I want to start with the last one. How do we authenticate that a trade proposal is real? That's a great question, but not for the reason that you think. So we're sitting in a trade deadline room. You got the president of the team, the president of baseball operations, the GM, the AGM, head of scouting, head of player personnel. We got the manager on the phone from time to time, the owner on the phone from time to time. And every once in a while, we get a call from one of our area scouts, which are guys who are out there doing God's work, man. They're on the road 300 days a year trying to find players, identify players, project who's going to be a major league player. Every once in a while, you get a call from an AGM who steps out of the room. That's a big thing with cell phones. You step out of the room, you take the call, you step back in the room, unless, of course, it's a GM call, in which case you put the call on speaker and say, yeah, there's nobody here, except you got 10 people there listening, and they're doing the same thing. Is this just between us? It's just us, right? Yeah, of course it's just us. Mute. Shh. Turn your ringers off. Unmute. What do we got? Every once in a while, a lower level employee, but still a valuable employee, someone we love. They've earned their way into the TDR. They've earned their way into the trade deadline room, and that's like a status thing. When you're invited to be in the trade deadline room, that's the status. When you're invited to be in the draft room, these things matter. You're working your way toward it. When you're involved in the trade deadline room and you step out and then you come back in and you're new to the room and you say, hey, I just got word that the Yankees would talk about Aaron Judge. Come on, man. Seriously? We're 27 hours before the deadline and you're coming in saying that we should work on a proposal to get Aaron Judge. Hold on. Owner, can we afford Aaron Judge? How can we not try to get Aaron Judge? Hold on one second. Scout, player development, we'd give all our top prospects to take Aaron Judge, right? Can we take on the money? GM, CFO, talk to me. Hold on. Who said this? And then you realize that it was two scouts talking to each other over a drink saying, man, if only Aaron Judge were available, we wouldn't have to worry about blank, blank, or blank, and we could do blank, blankety, blankety, blank. And then you come in and say, hey, Aaron Judge may be available. Do you know what we do when that happens? When something seems crazy and we get it from someone other than the GM or the president or the owner, you get on the phone. Hey, Bry, it's Mikey. Quick question for you. Are you talking about Aaron Judge? No. Why do you say that? Forget it. Thank you. Talk to you later. Don't even put anyone under the bus. Don't go full Jimmy Haslam with Andrew Berry. You don't throw someone under the bus. You just say, all right, moving on. It is absolutely happening constantly where you have the trades that come from a source that you have to confirm. Now, you say authenticate. I don't really view it as authenticate. I view it as that may be something we're going to check on. And the way we do it in the old days, it would be you'd get together in the GM meetings, you'd get together in the winter meetings, and you'd have opportunities to go and sit with the other teams. It was a big deal at winter meetings of times past. You'd go to their room, they'd come to your room, and you'd meet with the team and say, who do you got? Who do you like? Who you moving? What are you thinking about? Now, with cell phones and texts, all GMs are in touch with each other all day, every day. It's quick. It's a quickie. The thing about a quickie is that you can do a lot of them, except they may just not be satisfying. And so you're texting saying, hey, what do you got on Judge? And then the response is like a smiley emoji, or the response is a eggplant emoji, or an FU emoji, whatever it is. We do have people interpreting what the emojis are, that is for sure. But we don't really have a hard time figuring out what's real or not real currently, because we can go We're live, baby, with technical difficulties in the middle of now we're going to cut this, in which case the live people, I'm totally sorry, but now this is me live. Something happened. I think everything's okay. I just had Metalark IT, I had Coca, everyone dealing with something. And I've got Coca's face looking at me right now. In any case, for the people listening, you're going to say, man, this sounds perfect. These guys chopped it together like it's nothing. All right, I got to start my timer again. Oh, no, I just cleared it, Coca. I'm supposed to go to 50, and now I'm at 0.07. God dang it. All right, where were we? It's So You Want to Talk to Samson, Wednesday, second hour. God, do I love being live in this era of technology. We were just saying we're a TV show. Oh, no, we're a podcast. If we were in a studio, would anything go dark? We'd have a generator. We'd have backup systems and backup systems. Hey, it's like being on a plane. That must stink when the computer goes off. Oh, no, we're okay. Is the voicemail playout still not working? So everything is gone in the middle of a So You Want to Talk to Samson, 631-377-4869. Is that correct? Are we still talking about RedZone or trade proposals? Are we still talking about what's authentic and what's not? Are we still saying that do we use text or voice or meetings? I don't think we're doing any of that. I think that we're actually talking about something totally different, which is one of you who reached out at davidsamsonpodcast.com, or you left a voicemail at 631-DPS-4869, and you are applying to be an attorney for an NHL team. And you want to know, how do you stand out? I love this question because I think it has practical applications. People are applying for jobs all the time, and you'd think that all we're doing is AI, looking at your LinkedIn, letting AI do the rounds of interviews, letting AI decide if you're going to be hired or not hired. Well, it is true that investment banks, it is true that baseball teams, not just the Red Sox, it is true that you got to get yourself past AI. And let me give you a hint. Number one, here's how to stand out. No spelling mistakes in your resume. I've said it for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 5 years of nothing personal. It's the number one thing. AI is going through resumes. Spelling mistake, it's entered as a immediate done. If you put anything on your resume that cannot be proven through a search, you're making a mistake. Everything's on the Intergoogle now. Do not say that you were a baseball player if you were not a baseball player. Do not say that you're a hockey player if you weren't a hockey player. Don't say that you have been a hockey fan your entire life, and then the internet finds pictures of you, in a tutu. Not that there's anything wrong with being in a tutu. Just be careful with absolutes. In terms of attorneys looking for attorneys, marketing people looking for marketing jobs, we're not looking for experience in our field. We always say we are. You have to have 8 years experience. You want to be an attorney in the NHL or MLB, you have to have been an attorney in a law firm doing sports law. Everyone wants to do sports law. It's total horse hockey. We're actually hiring the person. It's nice if you went to Harvard or Yale. Not for me. I went to Wisconsin. I liked hiring from the Big Ten way more than the Ivies. Way more. That said, what you've got to get through and the way you've got to stand out is in your ability, when you're a lawyer for a league, one, you're not a fan. You understand that you are working for the league. You are the attorney for the league. It's not your job to be a fanboy or a fan person. Two, your ability to problem solve through reading comprehension. Your ability to take a situation, whether it's collective bargaining, whether it's player discipline, whether it's the operation of the league, whether it's something that happens, a dispute in marketing and sales, whether it's human resource related. You are going to be a general attorney, like a general practitioner in medicine. And you have to have the ability to handle all sorts of issues while knowing how to delegate and when you have to delegate to an outside firm. And you have to acknowledge the fact that when you have an outside firm, because it's a huge labor issue or a huge issue, that you are okay doing that and delegating it. The way you are going to stand out as anybody applying for any job in a league is by showing the boss that you will be able to do much of their job, allowing them to do a different job, allowing them to breathe easy, knowing that you have got it covered. You want to know how you're going to stand out? You walk into an interview once you get through AI with no spelling mistakes, and you just look at the guy right there who you're interviewing with and say, hey, dude, it's just business. I'm going to do your job for you. It's nothing personal.